everybody. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well out there. I guess good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Today we're going to be talking about how to use the Baron. I know this is a very requested topic. It's something that a lot of people struggle with. And I think there's going to be some, I would say, practical applications here that you're going to really want to apply to your game. Everybody kind of knows the whole baiting Baron. We're going to talk about when to bait Baron. We're going to talk about how to bait Baron. We're going to talk about when to turn and how to turn, as well as set up the Baron in the first place. So, without further ado, let's get started. Yes, I'm going to sign into League really quickly before I put my username in. Alright, perfect. There we go. Hello, everybody. Let me just get to the website. There we go. Perfect. Alright. What's Baron's login? Well, hopefully he has a really secure password, and it's not just Nasher123 or anything like that. Where's the background? No longer existing. Been put into a nebulous space. Have you guys ever thought about going to Twitch? Yeah, I believe so. But the thing is that this is a YouTube channel, right? Mm-hmm. All right. Where is this? There it is. Okay. Twitch has a better chat though. Yeah, but there also isn't a over 500,000 subscriber follower count on Twitch for this channel, so it just doesn't exist out there, you know? So why would you tap something? Why would you tap a resource? Why wouldn't you tap a resource, I guess is what I want to say. Right? So, let me swap scenes, and we'll get started. All right. Sweet. There's also a Discord, so. All right, so let's just spawn the Baron for this. Blah. Cool. All right, so everybody kind of knows the Baron objective. It's the big purple worm, spawns in 20 minutes, right? Just to cover the basics of Baron. Now, there's some interesting things about Baron in general. So let's just go over what Baron does. Because I think this is something that people don't really keep track of. It's just kind of good to know in general. And we'll get myself gold. You know, we'll prepare myself a little bit here, I guess. Just so we can... Whatever. All right. So, everybody wants the Baron buff. The Baron buff is also something that helps you win the game, helps you push. Baron also gives you a lot of gold. He gives 325 to the person who kills it, and 300 to each member of the team. So it's worth 1525 overall. So it's a very, very good objective. It's basically equal to acing the enemy team without assists, right? If just everybody won a 1v1. In terms of experience, not as good as that, but it's still like quite good. Now let's talk about Baron's abilities really quickly, because I think this is something that we should just cover in general. Like, this is going to be making sure that we kind of let me see. There we go. Making sure it doesn't annoy you guys with the way that the green screen looks. I'm like in the river. Interesting. Okay, anyway. So, the way that Baron works is Baron has abilities that typically are based off of their total... Why is he so freaking loud? Jesus, shut up. Okay. So, Baron has abilities that are based off his AD, mostly to just do extra damage to people. So, there's a few things that he does, and we're going to go over that. I believe he has 3 moves that he does while you're in front of him. He has a move that you do while you're behind him. And then he has kind of some AoE passives. So, first things first, we're going to talk about kind of just when you attack him, you're going to get this thing on him that he gives you this debuff that starts chipping away at your armor and MR. So you're going to see this right here. This, Void Corruption. Every stack of this is reducing my armor by 0.5. Right? So the longer I'm fighting Baron, the more armor and MR I'm losing. Right? So I've already lost almost 20 at this point. Which is basically when somebody fights me, when an enemy comes into the pit and like nukes the pit with like an AoE ability, because we started the Baron, we're more vulnerable, right? I've lost armor, I've lost MR, and if I'm a champion, like so far, and like the thing is this doesn't scale with the game time either, right? So at 20 minutes, I'm not going to have all these items, right? So if I'm doing Baron at 20 minutes and I'm trying to sneak it and I go in, I'm going to lose somewhere between 15 to 20 armor and MR as one of the people that's in there. Now, you'll see as well here that let's move him back, I guess. Move them out. Cool. So you can see, like, sure, I have 9 stacks on me, but he's also stacking some on these guys, right? Very, very slowly, though, because it's spread out. So it'll hit me, and then also hits... This one's not getting any more on it. Yeah, that one had its stacks reset. So the duration of this is not that long, actually. So, like, as soon as I go out of the pit, you'll see my stacks here take about, like, 3 seconds, 4 seconds to fall off. And then I'm just good to go. But it's still a lot of armor and MR you're losing during that time. And it just makes it so that if I'm in the pit early on, Baron's going to make it so that the enemies will do more damage if a Malphite comes in and ulties. And that's one of the reasons that we see a lot of aces at Baron, why we see a lot of kind of teams who start up Baron willy-nilly. They'll end up being weaker than the team that's approaching. 1, because of positioning, if they're all kind of clustered. And 2, because they will lose anywhere from 5, 10, 15, depending on if they're tanking it or depending on if they're one of the people on the side. And that's why sometimes people will go out of the pit and reset their stacks. It's not like a huge deal, but if they are a team you're very scared of and you have multiple tanks, then it's ideal to kind of do that and reset your stacks. So what Baron ends up doing is he will do a few things. He will do that, plus if you are the person closest to him, he's going to put this on you, which is you do 50% reduced damage to him. So I do half damage to Baron. This is a mechanic, and you can see I'm hitting him for like 108. Right, 108. My passive is going to do 130. And this is a mechanic to prevent people or to dissuade people or to make it harder from actually soloing Baron. Now if I put a dummy down, you'll see as soon as he attacks the other guy, that debuff goes away. So only one person can have that debuff at a time. So there can only be one person who's getting this Baron's Gaze debuff, and you'll see if I get... Let's see if I can get closer than this thing. Well, actually, I'll hit him now and see. I'm doing... Actually, we'll move the dummy, actually. Yeah, I'll move the dummy. So yeah, it'll hit him. And you'll see that when I hit attack the Baron now... I'll move the dummy over here, I guess, yeah. Yeah, so when I attack the Baron, I do 261 damage now. That's weird. Okay. Well. Well, regardless. We'll just clear this out. Make it easier. But regardless, you can see that if I'm the person who's closest to the Baron, I'm going to end up dealing less damage to it. So if you're a DPS and you're tanking Baron, you're not going to have as much lifesteal because you aren't doing as much damage. And you're not going to be dealing as much damage. So it's ideal that you have a tank, or even in some cases a support, go ahead and tank the Baron for you. So if you're somebody who wants to deal damage or has to deal damage, you really do want to be somebody who's not the closest person to Baron. Closest person to Baron gets the Baron's Gaze. Only one person can have that at a time. So as soon as somebody else takes it from them, like he's here, it hits him. As soon as I can get closer, I'll have Baron's Gaze, and you see it's no longer a debuff on him. And if I move away, my Baron's Gaze will go away after he hits something else. It's gone, and now he has it. So, just a tiny little thing. This has messed up a lot of Callista players, because Callistas will try to rend when everyone else leaves the pit, and they're the ones that are actually tanking Baron, so their rend will deal half damage. So it's big with things like that. True damage is not affected at all. But like I said, if you're somebody who has lifesteal, definitely ideal to not be the person tanking it. Or, if you're trying to sustain and you're going in and out, swap places with a tank, take some damage, and then back off, have somebody else be closer, and then heal it up with your lifesteal. Because your lifesteal, like I said, will only be half as effective. So, those are kind of the debuffs that Baron does. The other thing that Baron does is, if you are behind him, he has a different set of attacks than if you are in front of him. So, if you are in front of Baron, Baron has a pattern. So, he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he'll cast 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he'll do that. And then he'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he'll do like an ability. And so the cycle is he will always attack 5 times, and then he will do the line ability, the knock-up, and then the 3. So the next one will be the knock-up, and you want to dodge it. And then he'll do 5 attacks, and then he will do the 3 balls. Right? And then the next one will be the linear attack. So the Baron actually has a static pattern to what he does. And here comes the line attack after this. And then you'll do 5, and there's the knock-up. So, after, just, the only thing you really need to keep in mind is after you see the line attack, the line, that just means he's going to knock up next time. And the knock-up is the one that people need to watch out for. So right now, it's fine to do whatever I want. Then I'm like, okay, line attack, and then knock-up. So now I need to watch my feet, and now I need to dodge, right? Because that's the one that really gets people. So after, you can stand still for like this whole part of the Baron and stuff like that. You move when you see the abilities, of course, so you take as little damage as possible. And then when you see the line ability, that's when it's like you should start moving around and kind of keep moving around, just so you can keep getting in a position to potentially dodge this a little easier, right? And then you can go back to standing still. this is in a situation where you're either soloing Baron or you're just trying to, do Baron in the most efficient way possible. But just remember, after the line comes the knockup, and it's always the same. It's a static pattern. He will always do exactly the same pattern, right? And these knockup, boom. And people don't really know that about Baron. They don't know that he has a static pattern where it's 5 ability, 5 ability, or it's kind of like 4.5 and then ability, depending on what he does, because he has the one where he gives you the he has like the one where he spits on you, and he's got a different attack where he'll like hit you, right? Or he'll smack you. Yeah, 61 damage. Then that one has actually more damage on it. So if he melees you, it's less damage to you, because he's doing 61 and then it's like this extra 32 damage. But then he's doing 63 when he melees me. So when he's hitting you with the spit, he's actually doing a little more damage than the melee range attack. The melee range attack, though, is AoE, and it hits everybody that's right next to him. So if I spawn like an enemy dummy or something like that, and I let it like hit him, and then when it eventually does its thing, wait, am I taking any damage from the... Yeah, and you can see like I took 32 damage there. So it has splash damage. That's the difference between the two attacks. One of them is damage, range damage, and a little bit of extra. So being as close to Baron as possible actually reduces his damage output as well. So if he melees me, it's actually less damage to me than if he were to actually just use his spit. So the other mechanic behind Baron. So just remember, it's the line and then the knockup. Line, knockup. He really just does not like me. Probably have to wait for this to go away. But regardless, oh, you see I have like 38. That's not a big deal. That'll almost never happen in real games. All right. And the other thing is if you're behind him, so we talked about like the frontal abilities. Shelly. Always a party pooper. So yeah, anyway. So we talked about he does 5 and then he does the ability, and it's always going to be line, knockup, and also the 3 balls. So those are his frontal abilities. He does the spit, he does the hit, he does the 3, or sorry, he does the 5 abilities. So we'll just see it one more time. 1. Oh, he actually already had things charged, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here's 5. And then he's using it. Sit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's the line. 1, 2, 3, boop, and then the knockout. It's actually a different pattern if you're behind him. So when you're behind him, he does an AoE. He does 2 attacks, actually, I think. So when you're behind Baron, when the closest person to Baron, or sorry, I'll do it this way. I will put 2 people in front of Baron, and I will go here. So when you're behind Baron, he'll do this back spike. You see this back spike? He hits me with this back spike. Right? He actually does more DPS this way, because what he's doing is he's spitting. You see, he's still spitting on me. He's hitting me 66, but then he's hitting me with the spike, and he's hitting me with the AoE little spit stuff. So he's hitting me for 66, and then you see like 60, 62, and like the magic damage come up. So being behind Baron, he actually attacks you faster than if you were to be in front of him. But there's another thing on this, where if you're behind Baron and you're the closest person to him, he will do that. And that is faster, it's more DPS, But there's another mechanic. When there are more people behind Baron than in front of him, if there are more people here than here, he will actually do an AoE knockup. I guess it's this AoE stun. And it's the same pattern. So, but, here's the thing. So now, in case you noticed, I put more people in front of him, right? He's no longer going to do the back spikes. He's doing the line ability. He's doing the line ability. He's doing the knockup. He's back to his old pattern, right? But if I move them away, back spikes. But he's no longer doing the line. He's no longer doing any of the other abilities. He's not doing the knockup. He's not doing the ball. But he's just doing this big back spike thing. So when there are more champions behind Baron than there are in front of him, he'll do that instead of these. Which is actually a DPS loss slightly, unless you are dodging completely. And then it's a DPS loss. So when you're tanking him like this, and you're just going in front of him, and he's not doing back spikes or anything, this is going to end up being a little less damage than everything else, because you see how long it took him to do that, and then you just dodge it anyway. Because these abilities are very dodgeable. Very, very dodgeable. Right. Throwing him over there, and then he's going to do the line. And, like, taking very little damage from it, but I walked over it again. And then you should be able to dodge that one. But when you end up being behind him, he ends up doing the knockup. And that's very devastating. Because that's one of the issues that I think a lot of people make, a lot of mistakes are made in the Baron Pit. Because what happens is, the enemy starts approaching you. And these guys who are, you know... I guess the enemy starts approaching you. And the guys who are here panic, and you're like this at first. You're kind of like, okay, I need to back up here. There's more team damage like this. And then if I put two people back here, and everybody starts running to the backup pit, what's going to happen is, he's going to do the 5-6 attacks, and then he's going to do the knockup. And it's going to hit all of us. Right? And it's this whole area in the back, too. And I believe his back attack is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then he does it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then he does it. So it's a different pattern because the first, when you're in front of him, it's 5 and then line, 5 and then knock up, 5 and then spit. And so when you're in front of him, it's 5 basic attacks followed by an ability that's rather dodgeable. When you're behind him, it's 6 attacks and then an ability that does AoE damage and stuns. Now, because he's attacking you 6 times, and it's a little more frequent, this is going to be something that is not ideal, right? It's going to be more damage. You can't dodge these attacks, whereas the other ones you can. And if you actually are doing anything, you can actually dodge that if you're tanking him like right here. Not something I would recommend doing, but it does decrease the amount of damage that, you know, you'll be taking. So if somebody's like trying to sneak Baron and there's like a ward over here and you know that you're not being spotted, instead of having everybody sit in the back of the pit, you can just kind of have people go back and forth between this area. People can hug over here. And he can keep doing the spit, the knockup, whatever. But like, people don't really understand Baron's mechanics at all. And so when you have the enemy team approaching, and you just go into the back of the pit, you're actually messing your team up. and you ideally want to just fight in this area out front. If you are fighting back here, you're at a distinct disadvantage because of the Baron stun. That'll be happening pretty frequently, and that it'll be, I would say, it happens about once every 3-4 seconds, right? Like, for example, let's just see here. Because his attack timer is like 0.6, so there's knock up, and then is it 39? 5 seconds? 6 seconds? Okay. Yeah. So, because of his attack timer, it's about every 8-9 seconds. And it's like a 1 second cast. So, it's not ideal, especially for squishies, because I'm not taking any damage because I have, like, you know, the whole refresh stuff on me. But if I were to be a squishy champion and in the back of the pit, ideally, you don't want to be in the back of the pit almost at all. If you are in the back of the pit, there's more people in front of the Baron than there are behind him, because then he'll continue doing the normal abilities, right? So if you are going to be in the back of the pit, just make sure you have communication with your team. And people don't really understand these mechanics. So if you see a way where there's like somebody in the back and there's somebody in the front, don't go to the back, stay in the front, make sure that he's not doing the back spikes, or go to the back if you see something like this, and you can actually make it so that he's continuing to do his frontal abilities while you're just hitting from behind and having maybe a better position to get out yourself, right, afterward. So now that we've gone over all the Baron mechanics, which I know is a little extensive, we'll talk about the approaches to Baron. So there's two fundamental approaches for Baron. There's burn and there's turn. And those are the terms that I will be using the entire time. So when you're turning from Baron, it's going to be all about your team composition and the enemy team's composition. And I actually think in this case, when you're turning, your team composition and theirs matters more than in the burn scenario. So, if you are turning, what you want to do is you either figure out if you're starting Baron or you're not starting Baron. Now, the way you figure out if you're doing that or not is based on the enemy team. And if they catch you doing Baron, then does it increase their damage output? Is it really good for them? Do you want to have people kind of set up in different places? Do you want to use Baron as a bait? Now, sweepers are always going to be of the utmost importance, sweeping this area, and keeping vision or control on this side, because if they just put wards down, then it doesn't matter, right? Especially in a red side bait. So, if you are the blue team, and you have access to the pit here, just by nature of the map, right? You have access to these areas, and they have easier access to this area, and then this area. Now, because of the nature of that, and because that's how it works, this area here is the stealing area. This is the place that people are going to try to steal. They're going to try to place wards from. If you have ways that your composition can actually catch people, having forward wards, making them use their sweepers or their wards ahead of time is good. You want to basically make sure that they don't, if they face check stuff over here, like if you have like control wards down in these bushes and they have to face check as you do Baron, like that's a burn scenario where if they're face checking, they have to go through this in a hesitant manner. They actually don't know what's going on because you've kept them maybe in their base for a little bit, and then you go over here. This is where baiting is probably a little bit stronger, right? Everybody does this thing where they like sit here in this bush and they wait for the enemy to come through. Sitting in the bush isn't really going to do much for you. You should stand like maybe off to here or over here, depending on which exit route you're going to take, if you have this vision already. Because what they're going to do is they're going to throw skill shots into the bush if they're trying to check for it, Morgana Dark Binding, all that stuff. And you can just dodge, and as soon as it's, through, you can just walk back into the bush. This is if you have complete vision control and agency over the area, and it's basically just under your team's control completely. So you want to be setting up the Baron where you want enemies to use abilities, you want them to use sweepers, way before they get to the Baron. It's the same thing with wards. If they have to walk up, a support walks up and places a ward in here from their side where he's just trying to check, it helps you even more. Helps you even more. Because he's going to have to use wards as he gets here, and then maybe they see it, right? But the setup for the turn is when the enemy shows up, not if they show up, it's when they show up. That's a big distinction to make, actually, is if the enemy shows up, we turn. That's kind of like you're already committed to one thing, and then you are deciding like if you're going to do it or not. But I would say instead of thinking if the enemy comes, we'll turn, just think when the enemy comes, we're turning. So you put yourself in a better position. It's kind of like, I know like gyms are closed and stuff like that, but whenever you're spotting somebody in the gym on like a bench press, the mentality that my trainer always taught me was don't think if they drop the bar, right? Like if they get to a failure on a set or something like that. Think when they drop the bar, I'm ready to grab it, right? Don't think like if they drop the bar, I'll engage myself. Just think when they drop the bar, which if you're expecting them to drop the bar, and of course, if you expect them to do it and they don't do it, well, at least you were ready for it, right? As opposed to the opposite where you're not ready for it and something happens, which is the same thing with Baron. Just don't think if they end up coming and we can turn. Think when they come, what am I going to do? How am I ready for this scenario? So think about your abilities. Think about how to best prepare the area, whether it's you have the control wards, so when they ward over, get their plants ahead of time, of course. I think a lot of the times I'll do things on Rek'Sai and other champions where I'll just go over, take this back in while we're still doing it, and make sure that they just don't have that. But making them use abilities, making them use things like wards before they even reach the Baron is always going to be beneficial. So if you can have somebody running interference, typically a support, because they're least important, can always be beneficial if it's a 5v5. If it's a 5v5, always have some type of interference, have some way to disrupt the jungler. I don't like 50-50s. I think 50-50s are a little bit foolish, especially because if you're a team that's winning and you go for a 50-50, there's a better play or better percentage play on the map, right? Because if I'm already winning and I'm doing Baron, then I could have just been doing something else that had maybe 60-40 or even 51-49, right? Working in my favor. 50-50, not that amazing. Also, it's not always a true 50-50, depending on one, vision, and two, what the enemy jungler is. So if they have vision and there's something like a Nunu or a Cho'Gath, not a 50-50, of course. Definitely going to have more damage. The Olaf, same thing. Lee Sin has an execute as well. At least sometimes two. But definitely there's champions that you don't really want to mess with and you want to actually turn on instead. So when you think about it, it's like, based on their composition, figure out if you're burning or turning. If there's a Cho'Gath, we're turning. We are not burning versus that guy. If we're burning versus a Cho'Gath, he's just going to come in, he's just going to nom away and be like TY for leash, baby. Like, it's going to suck. So if there's something like that on the enemy team, you definitely don't want to be burning the Baron unless you've killed him. Right? So there's always contingencies. If he's dead, yes, we're going to kill the Baron like that. We're just going to burn it. But if he's alive, we're going to turn when the Cho'Gath thinks that he can come in to steal, or when he comes into the area to check. So being able to decipher when you're going to do that is all based on your composition and the enemy team's composition. If they have better team fighting, well, you probably either want to have a pick happen ahead of time, and instead of going to the Baron, set up in areas like set up your wards on the way out. Maybe you got mid inhibitor or something like that. Set up your wards on the way out, and depending on the champions that you have, you can set people up like right here and like go through, right? Stuff like that. You can set people up for flanks. You can set people up for attacking in positions that normally people don't approach from. And you can just have really good kind of engagement. And I think that's the way that you want to play this when you're playing a skirmishing composition. Whereas if you're a team fighting composition, obviously you want to stack up near the Baron. You want to kind of do the Baron slowly, clear the vision, always have ample vision. If you know you're going to do Baron, have 2 control wards ready. I know it's something that people don't do a lot, and it's more of like a rule of thumb, but people don't do. You should have those wards ready. You should have control wards ready. Even if you're going to replace the control ward, place it down, clear the wards out here, they'll use things like Scryer, their Farsight Orb, their blue trinket, to try and scout it. That just means they used a finite resource, right? So if you're baiting the Baron, if you go into it, hide in this area, attack whether they approach or not, but basically putting them in a situation where they have to face check and you get to do whatever you want, whether it's burn or turn, that's the ideal scenario for the team that is doing Baron. Now, if you were in a desperation scenario, you want to burn it. You either want to burn it, or if you have really good pick champions and they aren't in a position to actually contest, but they have somebody who's walking up because they see it and they need to steal or something, then obviously you turn, you get the kill, but then you don't continue the Baron anymore, right? If the Baron is something that is like, you are in a 4v4, and then you pick somebody off, and now you're in a 4v3, but those 3 remaining champions are one, maybe is a Fed, a Kali or something, or there's like a Katarina. If you can't 100% outplay and have an ability that you can reliably use on her that will stop her, then yeah, you take the victory of just getting the 1 kill, you lick your wounds, and then you come back later. But deciding whether you are burning or turning is a big deal. Because remember, when you're burning the Baron, so it's another thing that I think people don't consider, is when you're burning the Baron, you're using all your abilities on the Baron, right? People are using their abilities on the Baron. I'm hitting the Baron like this, and I'm using like my Q on him. But it'll be 20 minutes into the game. I don't have all this CDR. I don't have, you know, this thing that resets everything. People are using mana. They're using cooldowns on the Baron, right? They're not ready for the fight, right? If you have to turn and you've used all your abilities on the Baron, I've like Q'd his Rek'Sai, or I've even just used my E on the Baron to try and like burst it down a little bit more. I don't have my abilities for the fight. And some abilities at that point in the game are still like 10 seconds long, and they're primary damaging abilities. So know that when you're burning, you are weaker than the team that is approaching. If you are burning the Baron, you are weaker than the team that's approaching. 1, by virtue of using cooldowns, and 2, the fact that the Baron is shredding some armor and MR that keeps stacking. So you're going to be weaker. You are weaker when you are burning the Baron. If you are a strong team, you can burn Baron. If you are a weaker team, burning Baron is not always the best idea. It's going to do a lot of damage to you. It's going to weaken your characters. You're going to use abilities, and then you're not going to be ready for the fight afterwards. And people wonder why they lose fights all the time at Baron. It's usually because of that. It's usually because they used an ability on it, and they weren't really expecting to turn. Now, if you are burning, you do have to commit to it. It's a lot about commitment here when you're burning or turning. If you're burning the Baron, you do have to just say, I'm going to use my abilities, I'm going to all in. And you can't willy-nilly go between if you're burning or turning. You have to commit to one or the other and read the situation appropriately. And that comes with practice. That comes with a lot of messing it up. That comes with a lot of just judging which composition is able to do what in what point in the game. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here with this, in terms of burning or turning on the Baron, is communicating this to your team. Now, we're not all mind readers out there. We don't know what you're thinking. We don't know what the plan is. If somebody gives us the plan, though, you can actually take full responsibility for what happens afterwards. So if you say, we're going Baron, and we're doing Baron, and we're burning it, and we're burning Baron, if we're burning Baron, then that's the call. We're burning Baron. I might not think it's the best call in the world, but I need to commit to it, or else, you know, everybody else is going to be burning the Baron. How are we ever going to win a turn if we decide to turn and everybody else has used their abilities and I haven't, right? It's not really going to help. So when you turn from the Baron or you burn, you have to make a call in the chat with your team of which we're going to do. Are we going to bait the Baron? You have to give them kind of a warning ahead of time. A lot of times I'll be walking from mid lane, I'll ping Baron and I'll type in chat like, don't hit the Baron, we're baiting, right? And I'll say like, stay here with me. Don't hit Baron, don't hit Baron. Sometimes there'll be some dumbass who hits the Baron anyway, and then we'll either walk out of it and reset or restart it. But you have to communicate to your team in chat and say it multiple times, whether you need to type out what you're going to say, like don't hit Baron, and then Control A, Control C, and then just do that. All right. So it's like, hey, this is how you copy paste. And then you Control A, Control C, and then Control V. All right. And just make sure that people understand what's going on. Because if they don't understand what's going on, if we are burning or if we are turning, people are going to be in between the two. Are we burning the Baron? Are we turning from the Baron? It's always going to be easier with voice comms. It's always going to be easier with the organized team. Because it's more dynamic and you can change calls. That's kind of the beauty of being in a voice call. Is in the heat of the moment, I can actually be like, actually, somebody messed up on their team. We're going to catch them. Right? We're going to turn now. When we were burning. But now, I've changed the plan. And people can actually adapt to that. Whereas when you're talking in chat, and you're just like, okay, don't hit the Baron, we're going to actually turn. Then you'll be like, okay, now we're burning the Baron. And then they walk up anyway, and then you're like, oh, actually, we're going to turn. And so you'll see yourself like kind of walk out. Maybe one person follows, and now the AD carry is left inside the pit, dealing damage to the Baron because he just wants to finish it. Now he's dealing less damage, 50%. And so you don't want to be that AD carry. You want to be paying attention to what your team is doing or making the call yourself. If you're not making the call, if you're not the person making the call, then you should trust the call that's being made. If you don't trust the call that's being made, then why didn't you make the call? Right? If you're like, if I'm sitting there and somebody's like, okay, we're going to go do the Baron, and you're like, I don't know about this. It's like, well, did you make a stern call and say, no, we're doing something else? Or if you're like, oh, we're actually going to burn the Baron, and you're like, oh, I think we should turn instead, and then the enemy team shows up and you guys are doing Baron, like, then why didn't you make the call of let's go to Baron and then turn instead of burn? If you can take control of the games, and then if you mess up, you'll be able to kind of look at what you did and say, okay, how can I do this better in the future? And take responsibility for it, because that's going to be something where if you are at the mercy of of your own team, where they're like, okay, this is what we're doing, they messed up a Baron call. That's hard for you to kind of retro. Instead, you just go, okay, how much do I participate in future Baron calls? Everybody's had that game where somebody else calls a Baron, and you're kind of sitting there and you're like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know about this Baron, dude. I don't know. This Baron's a little iffy, man. And then you do the Baron anyway, and then you're like, oh, I knew it. This was going to go poorly. Oh, man. So it's like, when you retro those, you kind of go, oh, I should speak up more. And in the future, if you speak up more, and if you're able to actually make calls, and then they don't go right, then you can retro that and be like, okay, how do I make better calls in the future? How can I identify when we should be burning and when we should be turning and what we should be doing with the Baron? So that's the last thing, is communicating. So first and foremost, we went over the abilities of Baron. Secondly, we went over burning and turning. A lot of it's vision control. A lot of it is setting up and looking at team compositions. And then the last part is making sure that, in terms of communication, making sure that there's a call that is clear to everybody on your team, and improving at your own shot calling abilities. Even though you may be somebody who's just a follower, you may think like, oh, I don't really make shot calls. Being able to identify when you can make a play is always a good thing and always going to be a beneficial thing. So the better you get at making calls, the better player you're going to be in general. So just because you're an AD carry, just because you're a top laner, doesn't mean you can't call Barons. If you can read the game appropriately and understand what's going on as well as the opportunity that's presented, and you can see that, then it's going to be good that you kind of hone that ability. So now, let us grab some people from chat, and we're going to do a normal game if my client doesn't completely crash. Which it is dying. It is completely dying. Hello? Hello? Oh, there we go. Oh. Okay, there we go. There's a lot of you guys that I see all the time. Lutais. It's Cephas, okay. Cepheus. Harskari. Nope. Nope. Apple Hub. I see you, Poseidon Brozus. I know that I've had you play in a lot of games. Is the thing is I see a lot of people who play in a lot of the games. Okay. Oh, says the TN. Nice. Remember when I'm gone? I will. So, the sound of my client is off right now. I'll turn it back on. It was just really loud earlier. And I was like, it's clashing. The music is clashing. So, we'll just go back to having it on here. There. NA, right? Yeah. Do the giant snake with anger management at 20 minutes. I'm not sure what that means. The Baron is the... Oh, he has anger management is what you're saying? Thanks, Poseidon. Yeah, I was having the same issue, Ludus. You look really badass in classes. It's probably because I have this quarantine beard that I'm going to shave today. Why is he playing draft? Because there's some champions that I just don't want to play against in general. I also don't want people to play mirror matchups, and I don't want them to play against champions that they don't want to play against, you know, and might maybe have an opportunity to counterpick or get counterpicked themselves with at least knowing what they're going into. Now, when you do like blind pick, it's much harder to set up your runes in those last few moments. It's much harder to know what you're going to play into, and so I just don't like it overall. Wait. Wait, what happened with pick order? Wait a second. They skip him? That's great. I love that. Against an Ivern, a Morgana Kaisa. That's just really nasty. We're just gonna play Kane because he's powerful. I was thinking maybe. I was like, maybe I'll play. I was like, if I play Elise, there's Black Shield. If I play Rek'Sai, there's a root and a physical shield. I need some way to get on her, and I was like, maybe I'll play Hecarim. And I was like, no, I don't want to play Hecarim into this because the binding. I want to play something that it's okay for me to go for assassination potential. We have a lot of tanks, so I'm just going to bring damage. Even though Merc Treads would be really good this game, I'm just going to try to outplay. Now, Red Cane is much better right now than Blue Cane, but I'm just going to try to snowball because I don't feel like getting on this Kai'Sa that has a magic shield and a physical damage shield available to her, and then two other champions that are just pretty good at bullying is going to be something that I can play slow into. I'm going to have to play faster than this. This shield, interesting. This shield is going to make me have a bad time. So if this is a good player, I need to be able to kill him and try to burst him and stay ahead of the curve. If I can't stay ahead of the curve, then that's bad. It's on me, right? So it's going to be hard. This is going to be a interesting game. But we do have a Maokai that can point and click on the Kai'Sa, and as long as he doesn't like Q him out of my W, or I wait for the W and then Q, even though I think it should be W into W Q from me, if we're like synergized. Our team fighting is a little bit better. Weaker top lane. Mid lane, I don't know this matchup, but I would assume that the Rumble does fairly well. But the Graves is always, he's Graves. Spot lane, double range versus Maokai Jinx. I think we lose that. So I think we kind of like, I don't really have a lane to play off of for the most part. He's going to try to scale versus the Darius. This Black Shield becomes a problem. Baiting the Black Shield before Maokai goes in is going to be a big part. The Vastaya Kong. I did not know that Wukong was a Vastaya. I did not know that. It means he's the same race as like Zaya, Rakan, and half of what Set is. How long is stream delay? It's not that long. Ari and Nami are also Vastayans. Are they just furries? Is that what it is? Is it just anything that's part animal? Basically, okay. Nami's not Visayan. I mean, Nico is Vestayan too. Interesting. It's in her lore? I don't read their lore, dude. It's changed so much, I don't have time for that. Can I get a hello? Yeah, at the beginning of the stream. I'm starting on this side because I don't want to have Nasus leash for me up against a Darius. This is typically not a good start, but I don't want Nasus to be behind. We'll do this anyway. Okay, yeah. And now I need to go in. Oh, great. Wait. Okay. Yeah, he took my jungle. It's fine. Yeah, he's top side. How many did he take? Okay. Got the Dark Harvest. Okay. Now I don't have priority topside, so that's going to be a little bit. Okay. Okay. Nasus should come. Okay, good. Got it. I swear to God. Okay. Thank you. That'll kill it. Just checking this so that I have the timer, and I'm gonna go here. Uh-oh. Oh, he got him with the auto reset. Rough, dude. Yeah, a lot of it is the fact that he got to reset. Got it. I wanted to see if I could get him before that because I thought he might run away. And he's fine, he's fine. He's gonna take the bottom scuttle, and he's gonna take this whole bottom side jungle, maybe? He has a interesting item build so far. He's going for maybe Athenes. Alright, I'm gonna use Qs. Okay. He wants to revisit this. Okay. Okay, he just got that, okay. Got it, nice. Okay. I'm gonna go do my jungle before Ivern comes in and gets anything. Okay, he's gonna go do his red. If I was a little faster, then maybe I could have gotten there, but... Oh, wait, what? Okay. Well, I don't have Rumble up, so I can't really do anything about that. Yep. Okay. Now I'm just farming and trying to outpace the Ivern because he's really far behind me. And I have really good items right now, so I'm good. I know this Nasus is struggling. The thing about this Nasus is I do want to save him from the Darius, but I don't really want to gank a losing lane. Okay, he's gonna... Oh, oh! Woo! How long on that? 25 gold? I'll wait to 25 right now. And there it is, okay. You can transform all the way over here. If you didn't know that, you don't have to be in the fountain. And then you get home guard when you transform, so... He's being incredibly aggressive. I'm gonna go top side. Alright. Nope. Get him. Ayy. Yeah, get out of here. Oh, you want to see this, guys? Woo! All right, there we go. Nope. Now I get to do to Ivern what he tries to do to me all game. And just take his jungle. I have 18 seconds on my ulti. This will be great. Scouting for him. Okay. 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 Right here. Oh, what? Come on, brother. Come on, bro. Come back. I just want to play. I could just stay in the wall here. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Okay. Whatever. Out that way? Thank you. I didn't dodge his Q. And then Kai'Sa ultied me, which was a little bit interesting. Okay. I do need it back here. Okay, he's going for that. How long on it? It's like... okay. 3 levels up. Ivern can't really like fast farm at any point in the game, really. So it's not a big deal. I want to continue playing to the bottom side of the map. He's gonna take that. I'll go 4 levels up. That's fine. I'll do the rest of my jungle. Oh, you got him right. Okay. Maybe I should have rushed straight up there and just gotten free kill. Free kill. In retrospect. His Rumble is doing God's work. I'm just gonna do this in front of him. I don't care. He's like, screw this. He's not even on the same side of the map as me. Let's check into his jungle, see if he spent anything on this. Nope. Okay. 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 Oh, uh-oh. Poor Ivern, man. He doesn't get to play the game. Dodge that. Got him. Okay. Okay, no competition here. Alright, since today is all about Baron, we should start setting up for that. Oh, he got that, okay. So, I have 2 minutes on that, 2.5 minutes. 3 minutes to Baron. Okay, is he trolling? I don't have the mana to help him. Do I? How much am I going to regen here? Yeah. Let's see. If he uses his shield at all. Just willy-nilly. There it is. Got it. Yeah, he used his shield on Daisy for no reason, except just to be fancy, I guess. I don't know. And as soon as somebody does that, as soon as they use a cooldown like that, you gotta punish it. And now I have blue buff, so I can continue here. You think you're gonna be able to outrun me, dude? Look at where you are. Bruh. Nope. Don't know why you even try, man. Alright, now we go spend all of our gold. Can't get a second one, so... Don't have just enough movement speed just yet. As soon as I get home guard, I can do that. Over this way. Not too much longer on this. I can start it while I'm in the wall. And because we lost Jinx, I'm just going to use it down here. This will pull them down here. I can just chill here, see what's up. Watch for things like Ivern. Got it. Okay. Yep. We should head towards it. Not quite. I don't have smite for a bit, but we should just do this anyway. Okay. Yep, Ivern went bot side, so we're good. So, yep, we're gonna kill. Okay, 20 seconds on the dragon. And now, like, literally, there's no counterplay to my champion in this game. It's one of the reasons that Kayn is so good as blue Kayn. Like, I know red Kayn is technically stronger, but if you get ahead with blue Kayn, there's literally no counterplay. I get to hang out in walls and just... They don't get to play the game. Okay. So now I get to approach here. Yep. There's no counterplay. What are they supposed to do? I don't even know. I haven't even spent my gold, dude. I'm even stronger than this. This is fine? Yeah, I don't know. Is that what I want? No, I want this instead. Yeah. I'm gonna do this. Literally nothing they could really do about that. Wait a second. Pull it out. Uh-oh. I guess I could burst it at 1400. Yeah. Oh, hello there. R, thank you. Yeah, I'm not gonna steal that. And that's game. That should be game. All right, good job, Nasus. This isn't legal. But it is. But it is. Jinx is like, glad I could help. You know, sometimes getting carried is a skill, I will say. Like, you didn't have to do anything, but you didn't ruin the game. So, what can I ask for, you know? Okay. GG. Last one's kind of outdated? Yeah, I mean, maybe. I'll end up seeing. But, yeah, there's really no counterplay to Blue Cane once he gets ahead. He's just a disgusting champion. It's actually, like, super disgusting. Let's see. Yeah, like, you can counter Red Cane with, Executioners. Blue Cane is, ever since the changes where he can just keep going into the walls and stuff like that and stay there for so long just after he transforms, is just a really ridiculous champion. He doesn't need, like, levels at all after he's hit 13. Give you a heart. Yeah, like, this Rumble did an amazing job and you could play off him. So he won, like, this matchup that nobody knows how this matchup is supposed to go anyway. Bottom lane was literally irrelevant in this game. Top lane just didn't lose, and he kept extending. So, yeah, 19-0 and 8. It's just really ridiculous champion when it's ahead. But when we were ahead, we just went for the Baron at 20 minutes, or as soon as it spawned, because we could. And I just controlled the Ivern for the entirety of the game. He was 4 or 5 levels down ever since the early part of the game. I think if I were to retro that game from their perspective, the fight over the top Scuttle Crab was stupid. They should not have done that. But I don't think they ended up. Caring about that for some reason. I don't know if they expected that I would be going from blue to he ganked top lane to their red to then getting their Raptors and getting level 3 and then going across mid to get that Scuttle Crab. I don't think he expected me to go to the top Scuttle. He was a little late, but I don't know if they expected that. So it was a little bit strange that I showed up there, yes. I'm glad that the Rumble showed up and was able to... We got the Graves' flash when he crossed mid lane. So the Graves was extended. He had to blow his flash, and then we ended up just bullying the top side of the map there. Put Darius behind, put Ivern very behind, and then Graves ended up getting into the mix and getting even further behind too. So, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, just very, very solo queue, stompy champion, just fun to play in general. But when it comes to Baron, we ended up doing it there as soon as we saw somebody on the other side of the map. And numbers advantage is a very easy way to get Barons. As soon as you see somebody in the wrong place on the map, identifying that and just going straight for it when you can do it. Because they didn't really have anything that could threaten stealing it either. I didn't have Smite, but I looked at their team and I was like, okay, the only thing that can potentially steal this is if Graves walks up in ours, or if Kaisa gets a really lucky W. So I was watching to maybe body block a W, and then was like, I don't know if he's even around. He's not here. We saw him on the bottom side of the map. He wasn't even approaching, so there was no way they're going to steal it. And if they were getting close, then I just run into the wall, E, and then maybe attack somebody and blow them up. So regardless, that's going to cover it for our Baron course for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something today about Baron baiting. So it's burning and turning. Choose one, communicate it. That game I didn't really have to communicate it because we're just so far ahead, and we know that we're not baiting anyway. We all kind of looked for it. And we saw Ivan on the bottom side, so it was obvious that we were just going to push through. So, Twitch Prime? Okay. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. Until then, good luck in solo queue. Use those Barons. Remember, it's always the line, and then it's going to be the knock-up. The knock-up's the only Baron ability you have to watch out for. Just, if you learn that and you kind of keep that in mind, it's not something you really have to focus on too much, but it's something you just keep in the back of your mind and make it second nature to just watch your feet for the knock-up, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen pro players get knocked up as the team fight is happening, as they're being approached, and then they lose the team fight because of it. Everybody's got to watch their feet. It's the line, and then you got to watch the feet 5 attacks afterwards. So just watch out and keep your wits about you, okay? Because I can't tell you how many times I've seen that happen. So anyway, guys, I hope you had a good one. I will see you later. Until then, like I said, good luck in solo queue, guys. Peace.